If you're anything like me, then you may have suffered this same problem. I was packing up my things and getting ready to fly back home when I hit a bit of a dilemma. What book was I going to read on the airplane? On one hand, I had my iPad and the entirety of Demon Slayer, and on the other hand, I had this thick monstrosity of a manga, Death Note. I think it was a no-brainer on what I picked. I picked Demon Slayer, and I have no regrets about it. Now, I may have picked Demon Slayer because it was in a smaller and sleeker form and I could fit it with me on the airplane, but it was the story that I had no problems with. Disclaimer though, I did watch Demon Slayer Season 1 and Demon Slayer the movie, so I started the manga immediately where it finished off, so there is that, just a little disclaimer. Let's start with the story and characters. The story goes like this. We follow a pair of siblings, Tanjiro and Nezuko. When their family is murdered by a demon and Nezuko herself is turned into a demon, Tanjiro sets out on a journey to find the cure for his sister and turn her back into a human. On his journey, he ends up finding out about the Demon Slayers. The Demon Slayers are a group of people that go around hunting demons for the betterment of humankind. As Tanjiro goes through this journey, he ends up meeting a bunch of different characters that you will end up either loving or hating. And he tries not to die in the process. The story structure for this is pretty straightforward. In about each arc, we're introduced to a new character who ends up becoming important to the story later on. Now, this story structure is repeated pretty fluidly and pretty straightforward throughout the entire story, but it is something to be expected for shonen manga. We get the character who has an end goal, and he's going to do everything he can to make sure that he succeeds in it. In this case, Tanjiro, all he wants to do is hunt down the person who killed his family and find a cure for his little sister. Now let's start with the characters. Each character is unique and brought something totally new to the table, and honestly, I loved almost every single one. But let's talk about some of my favorite characters. Of course, we're gonna have to start with the protagonist himself, Tanjiro. Tanjiro is the main character with the heart of gold, and all he wants to do is save his sister. Nezuko, the younger sister, who can turn really big or really small at a whim, and she's just adorable. I mean, she's awesome. That's all I can say. Next, we have Zenitsu, and he's a horny boy. That's about all I can say. But he also has a little badass side every time he basically conks out, and he becomes a different version of himself. Lastly, we have Inosuke. And Inosuke, whew, man, what can I say about him? First of all, he wears a boar head, and he lives in the woods, like a little jungle boy, with nothing to do but go around and slashy stuff. He's crazy, he's somehow beautiful, and he's always forgetting everybody's name. And of course, we get to meet some Hashiras. Now, Hashiras are basically the top of the top, or the cream of the crop, if you will, of the Demon Slayer core. They're the best at what they do, and they're incredibly strong. Throughout the story, we basically get to meet each Hashira, and we get to learn more about them. We get the tragic backstories, we get to know what motivates them. And honestly, if you've seen any Demon Slayer content, then you probably know who Rengoku is, and he is definitely my favorite Hashira. Rengoku is that one dude who you can't help but love in the popular group because he's so sweet and kind to everybody, and Rengoku just wants you to do your best, and he's willing to sacrifice himself for the betterment of everybody, and he's just great. And I absolutely believe that him and Tanjiro are besties for resties. Basically, with the epilogue, this is like major spoilers, but oh well, that they're destined to meet in each reincarnation, basically, and I completely agree with that, because after seeing how they interacted in the whole Mugen Train arc, they are definitely besties, and I wish we got to see more of Rengoku. So moving on for the manga versus the anime, because this is an anime, there isn't really much to compare, but mainly just kind of how I viewed things and what I liked from each. So as you guys know, basically you get a manga and then they are gonna go and adapt everything pretty much word for word in an anime format so that you can go watch it instead of reading it, or you can read the manga instead of watching the anime. Going into this, I heard a lot about Demon Slayer through the internet, through YouTube, through Instagram, and I heard a lot of mixed reviews. I didn't know what I was really going to like it. I do like a lot of shonen, so I kind of expected to like it, but I put it off for a really long time. And then I decided to watch the first season, and I absolutely loved it. It was created by the same company that created one of my other favorite animes, Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, and that company is Ufotable. And if you've seen the anime, then you know that the animations are insanely good. Everything is so spot on, it's beautiful, it's crisp, and it just has this otherworldly quality to it that you can't help but love. So going into this, I immediately loved season 1 of the show and then the movie as well. It was great. I loved the animations and it really sucked me into the world. So it made me want to go and finish the rest of Demon Slayer. Now with the manga, I tend to like reading manga more than I like watching anime because I can set the pace at what I'm reading. And usually with stuff like this, I get hyper focused into something, and that's exactly what happened with Demon Slayer, where I just started exactly where exactly where the movie had ended and just binge read the whole thing. And I really liked the artwork that the original author and writer did. She did such an amazing job with it. I really liked it. There were some derpy characters here and there that she did on purpose, and it's perfect for the over-exaggeration of the manga style. And so I really liked that. Now I'm going to explain some of the things that I wasn't really happy about or things that I didn't really like. So the first one is going to feel really nitpicky, but man, did it break my heart, and it really hurt and it bothered me when I found out it wasn't real. So all the effects that you see every time they like do water breathing or they do different forms, those are all fake. They're not there. They're all there for the reader to interpret and to see, but it's not happening in the real world. And I think that was a missed opportunity. And the reason I say this is because this is definitely a fantasy world, magical realism. Yeah, magical realism seeped into the foundations of this world. We have demons, we have different supernatural powers. So even though the humans aren't able to go and do these high fantasy things, summon fireballs and stuff, they're still able to do these incredible superhuman feats, all through their, breathing techniques. And I feel it was a bit of a cop-out that we weren't able to actually see all of the supernatural elements, because later on in the story, we get demon marks onto the demon slayers that basically gives them a boost in everything. And not only that, but Tanjiro and other Hashira are able to see into a different world. And by seeing to a different world, they're basically x-raying another person's body so that they can then figure out what their movements are. It's like this weird sense of like x-ray vision and also precognition, but in the precognition in the sense that the other opponent twitches a muscle and they're immediately able to figure out what their next move is going to be. I feel like if you're able to do that, then you can also add a little bit more and give us these over dramatic and over the top fire effects and make those things real, because it works so well with the world that was developed. That was just kind of nitpicky, and I do wish that it was still there, but either way, it was still a great magic system overall that the author was using. Another thing that I wish was different, or at least was added more, I wasn't a big fan of the fact that we kind of forget Zenitsu and Inosuke at the end. Our focus is more on different characters, mainly the Hashira, because they're very important to taking down Muzan, the main villain, or knockoff Michael Jackson. But I wish we got to see more of them. I grew very attached to them, and I loved their personalities and how they interacted with Tanjiro. It was just so great. I know that they each got their little moments to shine because they were fighting a different upper moon, and that was great. But I do wish we got to see more, especially towards the end. But yeah. The last thing that I wasn't really fond of, or I guess it didn't make sense to me, was the epilogue. I guess I just got confused. It was a cute little epilogue, and it definitely showed me that Tanjiro and Rengoku are going to be friends in every reincarnation. It's great, but I don't know. The epilogue, I wish it was a little bit different. It was basically just seeing everybody reincarnated again, and while that was cute, I wish there was a little bit more to it. if anybody here is planning on reading the manga and they don't know where to start after watching up to season 2, then it's around chapter 97 and 98, or you can start at volume 12 and you can just finish the rest of the series. All in all, I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to read Demon Slayer in 2 days. Not a lot of people have that opportunity, but I was able to really dig in and binge read this whole thing. I'd probably give this an 8 out of 10. There were a lot of really good things that I really liked. All the characters were amazing, and there were just a couple nitpicky things that I wasn't really a fan of. But overall, this is an amazing manga to read. If you decide to read it casually, go for it. If you're just waiting for the anime, I know that the rest of the series is going to be amazing in anime format, and I can't wait to watch it. So yeah, I'm really happy that I got to read this. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody who just tuned in and gave me a little bit of your time. I really appreciate it. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. And in the comments, I'd really love it if everybody would give me some more manga recommendations, anything. I'll pretty much read it, and I'll definitely want to make a video about it. So thank you guys so much, and I hope you guys all have a great day.